everyone, it's Mary. Today I'm filming my December wrap-up and it's the last day of 2020. Finally, I would say. I was hoping to get a lot of good books read during this month, but that didn't happen. A lot of things happened this month and I feel like I say that every time, but it just was a crazy month for me. Not in terms of stuff that I did, because I didn't do anything. I barely left the house since the current situation, but it was very intense, I would say. Anyway, so I wanted to, read something good before the end, like a 5-star read, since I didn't have a lot of 5-star reads this year. But instead, I kept starting new books to read, so I end up with a couple of books that I read and then a lot of books that I'm currently reading that I'll never finish, of course, today. But it's okay. I just want to share with you all this madness, and I hope I can be very quick because I'm very late in filming this video and they're gonna kill me. Let's be quick. So first up, I just want to mention volume 9 and 10 of Kimi wa Petto / You're My Pet. It's a Japanese manga from the early 2000s. It is what it is. It's just the story of this young woman that keeps in her apartment this younger boy as her pet. And I'll just leave it at that. I talked about this plenty of times now, and when I finish the series, which I'm almost done with, I'll talk again about the whole story. It's an okay manga, not that great. Very sort of old in terms of dealing with themes and everything, but I still enjoy it because I love the TV show. That's it for the manga. Let's move on. Then I finished actually a 5-star read, but it is a non-fiction book on a very sort of specific topic, so I don't know whether a lot of you would actually, pick this one up, but it is Maximize Your Child's Bilingual Ability by Beck. And this was great. I am so glad that I picked this book up. It was actually the best book on bilingualism that I read so far. I read sort of the most famous one, which is, I'm gonna pop a picture here, it's Raising a Bilingual Child, something like that. I think it's the most talked about around, bilingualism, bilingual sites, bilingual groups and everything. That one was very sort of scientific, sort of textbook-like, and this was much more practical, much more useful, I would say. The other one is still good if you don't know anything about bilingualism, if you're unsure whether to do it or not, because you don't know maybe the pros and the cons of the whole thing. But once you set your mind, into raising a bilingual child, then this one is the one you would want to pick up, because it was illuminating to me for a lot of different reasons. It gives you insights, advice, tools, strategies to use in the everyday life. It is a bit repetitive in its structure, and that's what most negative reviews stress upon, how repetitive it is. It's very sort of easy to go through, which I don't think it's a bad thing, and I don't mind repetition when it has its purpose, and I think for the purpose of the book it was okay. The only thing that I didn't like was the quotes at the beginning of every small chapter. There are a lot of chapters, very small chapters, and for each chapter you've got a quote at the beginning, which I think it's not necessary, but that's just me. I don't like quotes in general at the beginning of even books, so I think that's just a me thing. And this was eye-opening. I wish I had read this book before, because now it's a bit too late to do some of the things that he suggests, but I'm still glad that I picked it up, because I could a little bit, I think I could change some things that I was doing wrong, and it helped me. So I still feel like it's useful, even if you're, already on the journey of raising a bilingual child. And also, it didn't hurt that he has sort of a similar parenting style to me. The other book, although it was not about parenting at all, suggested some strategies that were just clashing with my view of parenthood. Like, of course, I'm not questioning their efficacy, because of course they work, but it's just, I think the price is too high, because some of the advice that it would give would be to pretend not to understand when the child is talking to you in the other language, or sort of blackmail him saying, no, I won't give you this thing if you ask me in that language. And both of these things I'm never doing with my child. I don't lie to him and I don't blackmail him ever, and not even for this purpose I would. So I feel like you have to balance what's more important to you, and for me it's not. I mean, even if it doesn't end up being bilingual, it's fine. I'm putting a lot of effort into it, but ultimately it's gonna be fine. So sorry, I already talked too much about this one, but this one was great and I would definitely recommend. I thought I'd just mention books that I'm reading, even that I'm not actively currently reading, just because it's the end of the year and I just want to be honest. So one is the Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien, which I don't know where I put actually. I feel like it's here somewhere. It's here. Let's do it. One is the Silmarillion, which was a buddy read with my gals, Yamini over at Shakespeare and Spice and Natalie over at A Curious Reader. We started this book, I think 2 years ago now. I think it was 2019, possibly. I'm not sure. I am actually a little bit more than halfway through, and I'm not dropping this one, even though, well, you know, and I'm not obviously starting this from the beginning. I just feel like this is a book that can be on the back burner for a long time and it wouldn't be affected by it. You can just dip in and out of it, so I just feel like it's just gonna stay there, and hopefully I will finish this one by the end of 2021. Who knows? Yeah, so that one. Then I'm reading, oh shoot, this book by Adele, Faber and Elaine, Mazlish, which I'm gonna put the English version here. It's just a book again about parenting. This is very useful. I dip in and out of it, and every time that I do, I'm reminded of it's a bit of a mishmash of books that I already read on parenting, really, but it's useful, and I think maybe you can skip a lot of the books that I read and just read this one, which is very condensed, and also spark some discussion and interesting conversation on topics with my husband as well, since he doesn't really read, so I can reference back to him, and also it has, I thought I'd mention it, some sort of vignettes, I don't know how to call them, some pictures, drawings, explaining situations, which I think they're very helpful, especially for a non-reader. So this one. Then I'm also in the back burner is Carlos González book on vaccines that I don't think was ever translated. Not even in Italian, not in English. This one is in Spanish. He just talks about vaccinations and how they are good, basically. I mean, with this book he debunks another book that was by a Spanish author, which sort of includes all the beliefs of people that are against vaccination. I don't know how to call them. No-vax? Is that the same in English? I guess so. Yeah, it's interesting. It's very dense, very textbook-like again, full of scientific information. The font as well is very small. I don't know if you can see it. And it's just a bit hard to go through, to be honest. But I thought it was, a good topic to explore, considering that I have a child and also considering the current situation. So yeah, I still feel like I'm going to get through this one, maybe at a slow pace, but I eventually will. Then again, on the same vein as the other book, I'm reading Bilingual by Annika Bourgogne, and this is yet another book on bilingualism. This one I could easily skip, because as I said, the other one was all comprehensive, It was amazing, it was useful. This one is not adding anything to my knowledge or the tools that I have to raise my child as bilingual. I'm still gonna finish it, but yes, not as useful if you read the other one. Oops, and I dropped it. Then, I feel like I'm going too quick, possibly. I hope not. Then I have, again, another book that I'm dipping in and out of, The Crystal Bible by Judy Hall. This, again, I have no rush to go through this one because it just has a bunch of crystals and it explains all the properties of each one. Sometimes I look for a single crystal and other times I'm just slowly making my way through reading each one of the crystal and their attributes, how to use them. It's cool. I like it. It's very interesting and I love crystals. So yes, this one. What else? Then I thought I'd start a book that was going to be quick and maybe uplifting and just fun to go through. So I started a series, which is the Time Quintet, and this is A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine. I thought this was going to be maybe a bit more fantasy-ish, but it's more science fiction, I would say, which I don't particularly, again, like that much. But yes, I'm not enjoying this book at all, and it's not because it's science fiction, it's because it's full of tropes that I don't like, you know, the girl with the glasses being pretty when she takes her glasses off. It's just, for a person that wears glasses, such as me, and I'm very much nearsighted, is that the right word? Yes, I'm basically blind. I have contacts, of course, so I know what it means to have chunky glasses. I just hate that trope, and not only that, but the characters are very two-dimensional. Sometimes you forget that they're there, like she freezes some characters, and you're like, oh, he's there as well, because he starts speaking at some point, but you know, for the entirety of that, maybe of a chunk of time, you didn't even know they were there. The relationships between the characters are just very superficial. They start sort of like, two of them become friends like instantly and they didn't even know each other very well, and the next minute they're like, I'm gonna save your life even if it costs mine. And no, I'm just going to finish this one, but then I think I'm going to get rid of the entire box set, which I mean, it's a pity because it's very pretty, but no, I'm not liking this one at all. Let me know if you actually, since it's a classic for children, let me know if you read it as a child or if maybe you're rereading it and what you think now. But yes, I'm gonna skip this one. Then I started reading a book that I thought, well, maybe this one I can give 5 stars to, since it's very well loved on BookTube, even if it's a bit old, I would say. I mean, old, it's not old, but it was a favorite, I think, a couple of years ago, if not 3 years ago. When was this published? 2017, oh God. I've been on BookTube for a long time. But this is The Bear and the Nightingale by Katherine Arden. And I just thought it was the right time to pick this one up. It's winter, this is sort of fairy tale-like Russian folklore. I really just started it, so I don't really know whether I will like this or not. I'm intrigued, I'm interested, but I don't have, you know, I don't have feelings yet towards this book. Of course, I'm not finishing this by the end of the year because I'm not going to pick this one up today. So I'll read this in January, but I started this one, which I'm planning to go through. Lastly, I want to mention a book that needs a little bit of a preface. Yes, a little bit of a premise. And it's Adult ADHD by Thom Hartmann. So this month, my world has basically been rocked. It's been turned upside down. Not really, though. I think I stated a lot of times on my channel how I was very interested in mental health topics in general. I've always been interested in them since I was very young. Part of it is because of course, I want to learn more about people as well, about people around me, about maybe myself as well. And I was very much concerned with myself and my personal growth and my personal journey to maybe heal from things that weren't really working for me. Some, again, mental health issues that I had, which were not as clear and as in the face, I would say. But I felt like something was wrong with me. I always felt like something was different from the other people that I was talking to. And I could never relate. I mean, I could relate to a certain extent, but people, obviously, I ran out of space and it stopped recording and I didn't realize, so I need to really say things that I said. I'm so bad at this. I don't know what I was saying. Your life is full of things. It's like peeling off an onion, you know? So once you know that your job is fine, and I had a job that made me feel anxious, that made me feel sick even physically, and once I got rid of that job, I was like, oh, that was what was making me feel that way. And then you know, you go through your relationships, they're fine. I've got a set of friends that I had for 10 years. My husband and I have been together for 15 years and we have a great relationship. I am a mother, and after becoming a parent, I really dug deep into my childhood and, you know, trying to get what could have caused me to have certain issues, certain patterns of behavior that of course are tied to your childhood and how you grew up, and maybe your family being not necessarily dysfunctional, but you know, having its issues, because every family have their own issues. But aside from that, I knew that I had reached a point in my journey in which I was fine, but I wasn't. I really didn't want to make this video about the story of my life, but I just want to be, to get to the point. And I just felt like something was wrong, and I couldn't pinpoint what it was. And after all the work that I had done, my interior, journey was at a point, even in my happiest place, because now I feel like I'm in my happiest place, but I'm not functioning correctly. And I stumbled upon a post on Instagram that was about ADHD, and I think it was things that are hard to do when you have ADHD, something like that. I read that one and I was like, holy shit, all of these apply to me. How's that possible? I never really looked into ADHD. I thought it was just about hyperactive young children, boys mostly. And I'm not hyperactive, not in that sense. I could stay on the sofa for 20 hours doing something that really compels me. But I started digging into it, and actually every single aspect of this applied to me, which is something that never occurred to me ever. It was such an epiphany. It was like, I have this. I have ADHD, or I didn't understand anything until now about my life at all. The more I looked into it, the more I watched videos, the more I watched, I heard people talk about their own experience, the more I read posts and articles, and I went deep into it, and I was 100% sure. It was so emotional. Even watching videos, I would cry through the entire video because I felt so understood, so seen. I felt seen, which is something that never occurred to me before. So I thought, I need to get evaluated. I need to get diagnosed by a professional. And I reached out to my neuropsychiatrist that I had when I was very young. I never went back to any kind of psychiatrist or psychologist for the matter since I was 7 years old. Firstly, my parents took me to this neuropsychiatrist when I was, I think, 2 or 3 years old, because something was amiss. Something was not functioning I was different, and she told them that I could be on the autistic spectrum, And when I went back to her when I was 7, she told them that I wasn't autistic, but whatever I had, I was born like this. And that's exactly it. She didn't have the tools and the means to diagnose ADHD back then, but she told them that I was born like that, which is very helpful. It was even helpful to me going into this sort of understanding better myself in the light of this ADHD thing. That was it, because I could function well, quite well, even without a diagnosis, even without medication, because I don't know why. I did it, and it was very hard for me, but I still did it, and I went to college as well. I have a family, I have a job, I have a pretty, I would say, successful life, even though I think it cost me way more than it should have, and that's why most ADHD adults don't get diagnosed. But anyway, I reached out to her. She's still alive, she's still working, and I booked an appointment with her. Oh shoot, I need to be quick because they're here. My family is here. I booked an appointment with her, and she saw me straight away. I was planning to tell her everything, even that I stumbled across this ADHD thing. I didn't want to, to just be, I don't know what I have, doctor. I wanted to be honest with her, especially because I can't really lie. I'm so bad at it. I'm very honest and very transparent. So yes, I just told her, I was planning to get to her to the ADHD thing, but first I wanted to tell her a little bit about my life, about how I progressed in school and everything. And I was talking, I think it was 10 minutes. I was talking to her, and she stopped me, and she was so sure about this. Maybe it's that obvious, but she stopped me and she was like, I know what you have. You have ADHD. Hello. All right. And it was such a relief because everything suddenly made sense. I'm not neurotypical. That's why it's so hard for me. What is it? That's why. And yeah, so I don't know if anybody is that happy to be classified as neurodiverse, but for me it was amazing, and it kind of changed my world, but really didn't, because that's just how I am, and I've always been like that. And I picked up this book, which is again a book that I thought was going to dig into ADHD. It is, what is it? Hello. Do you want my jumper? Well, we can get one for you as well. And it is How to Succeed as a Hunter in a Farmer's World. Why don't you take your jacket off? And of course, and this is typical again of ADHD, I got the wrong book, because this is actually how to be an entrepreneur, which I don't really want to be, but I don't really want to be an entrepreneur, but yes, I just got the wrong book, but still it's interesting. It's an interesting one. I just wanted something that was about ADHD. That's it. That's the last one. I'm done. This video was long, and I hope that you enjoyed, and sorry if I talked a lot about my life, but I felt like including that one and that little chat about ADHD, even though of course I could talk for ages about that. And talking about hyperfocus, which is one of the traits of ADHD, and it's something that I always did, and now I have a name for it. After that, I started hyperfocusing on tarot. I don't know why I got obsessed with tarot, so I'm awaiting my decks. I want to say deck, but it's decks. Unfortunately, that's what happens. And it just looks like so much fun. I cannot wait to start learning that and see how it goes. Maybe in a week I won't care anymore, or maybe I will. And that was it for this year. I hope, I'm not saying anything about 2021, because last year I thought that 2020 was going to be amazing. And look what happened. So I hope you have a great end of the year, even though the year has not been that great. So I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!